Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to azizdrives. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different because I found something that I think is a very good idea and that I would like to introduce to you. So a lot of you have been asking me, how do you buy cars? What do you search for? Which cars would you buy? And so on. And especially people that are interested in buying supercars for a budget like to ask me that question. Now, up until today, there was just one solution. You buy an already depreciated sports or supercar. However, that is going to cost you a lot of money, right? And you will suffer a little bit in depreciation and keeping the car running. Today, we are at Supercar Sharing, which has a completely new method of selling cars. And it's very interesting, so let's find out. So let's meet Daivis, which is the CEO of Supercarsharing.ch. And very nice to meet you, Daivis.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Beautiful hall here, beautiful cars, right? We're talking about this a little later, but it's more about the ownership and supercar sharing itself. So can you explain who you are and what supercar sharing is?
Oh, with pleasure, yeah. I'm a car enthusiast, so
yeah,
pretty like you.
Absolutely.
And well, I'm from the IT background, but also I was starting collecting cars pretty early. And that's exactly where my experiences came with collecting cars and having sports cars in the collection. So it has its downfalls, it also has its very great lucky moments, but after a while you realize what the reality is of owning one car or two cars or several vehicles. And that's the reason we founded Supercar Sharing, to find exact market leak about the problems on the market with sports cars.
Absolutely, because up until today, I don't know if you knew it, but I had a Vantage, right? And owning the car for 1 year cost me like 4K. I owned the car for 3 years, so I had to pay like 12,000 just to keep the Vantage running. And it was not every day that I was driving it. I was only driving it on the weekends. So for example, who is buying those cars? Who is your typical customer?
Well, the typical customer is a very good question. It's often well-educated persons from the market. There are people who already have those kind of cars. We have most experiences with people who have already collecting several cars like Ferrari, Lamborghini, Bentleys, those kind of people who already are experienced with the deficits of owning those cars.
Okay.
And so they are thinking farther of that, and they are thinking like, I would like to add another car to the collection, but I don't want to pay the full car. I also don't want to lease it, because the downside of leasing, of course, is you're paying the car the full year, and then you're also paying it, for example, in Switzerland, you're paying it also in the winter time, and you're not using it. And then on top of that, we have to deal with crazy interest rates, who are very variable in the last few years.
Going up to 6-7%.
Totally, and it doesn't make sense. So people are doing it very lovely because they want to have access immediately to the vehicle. So that's a good thing about leasing, but it's not always the most effective way if you are financially budgeting your cars.
Absolutely. So how does this work? Let's say I would like to buy this fantastic and beautiful Lamborghini Aventador Ultimae. It's a car that costs like 800,000-900,000. What do I have to bring to the table to be able to buy this car?
Well, at first, let's admire this car. It's an Ultimae Roadster. There are only 250 pieces of this car made, only 250. And getting into the list of this car is almost impossible, because this car was already sold out when it came out, and it created a huge hype with this vehicle. And so the market prices for this car almost doubled on auctions. So the current auctioning price of this car is around 1.4 million. And so there are not many fair price options on the market, this is my experience. And so we have this car, and we are very happy about that. And it's crazy enough, we are going to share it.
I mean,
so we are sharing the Ultimae Roadster. This word alone is a very crazy combination.
I mean, nobody would have ever thought somebody would do that, right? I mean,
and the current price for that, the sharing price is 99,000 francs. Is for 10% ownership, and it comes with 1,500 kilometers per year, and 30 days of usage. If you want to own 20%, it's doubled, of course, and it's 3,000 kilometers. You can also own up to 30% of the vehicle.
So how would this work? Let's say I want to buy this car. I contact you over the page, for example, or I call you. I get an invoice or I get an offer with all the costs that are depreciation, insurance costs, and so on, how much I can drive. Do I have to have 4 or 5 people or 10 people that are actually owning the car already? Or can I just come with 2 friends, for example, and own it already for 100K? Is that possible? Can we also drive it, right?
Well, yeah, this car is currently owned by Supercar Sharing, so it's right away, it's possible to drive it right now.
Absolutely.
And if you're coming with 2 partners, for example, it's already 2 shares, so it's like 20% of the vehicle. So you could already start using the vehicle as you want.
Crazy. So the people that are buying the cars, they are getting checked, right? I mean, you in some sort. What is the procedure there? How does that work?
It depends on the level of sports car. So we have entry-level sports car, like for example V8 Vantage, like beginner Ferraris, like the Portofino. Those are kind of entry-level vehicles. So the minimum age is 28 for those kind of entry-level vehicles. And on top, so cars above 300,000 or limited cars, hypercars, and special vehicles like these cars start with 32 years of age. And minimum driving experiences should be 10 years.
So you check the driving experience and the age of the people.
Absolutely, yeah. And we also make questions about, when it comes to special cars, about the insurance history of the person. So it's very important to us how safely the person is with cars, and if there were some problems in the past. So we could talk about that.
Absolutely.
Of course.
If they had crashes or if they drove like 300 through the city, right?
Yeah, sure, But we're always talking about things like that, and if, for example, if there's some interruption in the history, we talk about that and we find a way, of course, because we always give also people a second chance.
I think that's a very fair point that you're mentioning it. Very interesting. So can we walk around and just have a look at this fantastic car? I mean, in all honesty, it's incredible to look at. I was driving an Aventador SVJ in Dubai, but this is basically the Ultimae, just like the name, right? It's one above the SVJ. It is the newer model, and it looks phenomenal, really. I mean, it's incredible to look at, especially when you're standing in front of it, seeing all of those carbon pipes. This, even the Roadster version, I mean, it's the last V12, 6.5 liters, 780 horsepower, the strongest engine that Lamborghini ever has produced as a naturally aspirated engine. It's incredible. And the funny thing is, there's only 250 pieces, right? Only 250 pieces, and you can buy this car as a Supercar Sharing owner. That's crazy. That's really very, very special for me. Now, one thing, let's say I want to drive it for the weekend next week. I'm going to Monaco to meet some people. What do I have to do? How does that work?
Well, at the first step, we make the contracts clear, and we are going to introduce you about the vehicle, about the process, about the location, about the storage, how the things work, about the access to the vehicle. And that's the first part. And the second part is you will have access to the app, so you can reserve your cars through the full year. You can plan your trips. You can plan smaller trips or daily usage of the car, of course. And you can just reserve it on the app.
That's all managed by an app, right?
That's managed by an app.
So I just have the app. I say, okay, this weekend I'm going to drive it. All the other supercar owners get informed that I'm driving it, and that's it.
That's it.
Very interesting.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
it's like renting your own car.
That's, now that you say it, that makes sense. Like renting your own car. Very interesting. Now the thing is this. You know, I drive a little bit faster sometimes, right? I mean, the roads of Monaco, the beautiful France roads, right? Mountain roads. Let's say I scratch this carbon part down there. What is going to happen? Am I going to get kicked out, or who is going to pay for it? Do other supercar owners or the other owners of the share do have to pay for my mistake, or how does that work?
Well, mistakes happens. It often happens, but this is just a small thing. So something like this is part of the insurance. All cars at Supercar Sharing are fully protected with comprehensive insurance. So up to a deductible of 0 francs. So this is just a normal case. We're just going to register this damage. We send the pictures to the insurance company, and then the next step is we are getting the Yeah, the next schedule at the Lamborghini, and then we're going to replace the part. That's it.
They just replaced the part, but you know, it's like scratching this wing is 30K, right? So no, that's a fair point. I think that's very interesting. And of course, you only use original parts from Lamborghini or the manufacturer that is producing the cars.
Exactly, very important cool. In those kind of cars, yeah.
No, I think it's a very interesting setup.
It is.
Very, very interesting setup and a fantastic looking car. Really incredible to look at.
Should I start it?
Yes, please.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, I would like to hear
it.
Yes,
let's go.
That's good point. All right, now that was absolutely mental. The whole hall was shaking, to be honest. But I have 2 questions remaining. So the one would be, what happens if I say, okay, I've owned the car for a year. I don't want to own the portion anymore. Can I leave the contract? Can I sell the portion? Or what does happen with my portion of that car?
So in that case, we can create a selling contract for this vehicle.
Okay.
And the good thing on our platform, all cars are listed. So with the shares and shares amount available on the car. So we are going to list the cars again.
Okay.
And we are going to inform the current people, prospects who are interested in these cars anyway.
Yeah.
And they're getting informed that another share is available of this car. And they can, again, they can bid for this car and buy your share for the current market value of the car.
That's very fair. That's actually fair. So I'm getting back the money that I have invested in the car after of course the tax payment that I have to do and the insurance and so on and a little bit of the depreciation.
Exactly.
Then let's say if I'm lucky, I pay 100K for this car for one share. I sell it in a year and I get back with 92,000, for example, 94,000. Who knows? I'm just throwing in numbers.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, this might not be the best, the best example because it's a car that is going up in value. But let me just explain to you what would happen if we bought this GTC 4 Lusso back there. Let me explain. So let's say I bought the car brand new for 400,000 bucks. Okay, I want to buy this car, right? I would have to go to the Ferrari dealer. I pay 390,000 to get it. In 4 years of time, it drops to a price of 250,000. I have lost 140K. Now, if we buy it as a collective, we split it. If it goes up in value, we celebrate. And if it goes down, you cut the cost. You're not going to drive it anyway over 5,000–6,000 kilometers a year. So it's a very good thing. Now, I have one last remaining question because obviously I am a little bit, I don't know what the future is going to bring with cars. What do you think supercar sharing will be in the future? What is going to happen with electric cars? What is going to happen with supercar sharing?
Electric cars, good point. Yeah. I will avoid it as long as possible. So no one can force us into electric cars as long as we have the opportunity into having V12 vehicles. So
absolutely.
That's it. We are going to protect those cars. We're going to use those cars. So that's the philosophy of supercar sharing. Yeah. And that's most aspects of this is using the cars as long as possible. And I strongly believe in the future that we are going to have e-fuel solutions. So there is Porsche, for example, is investing a lot into those kind of solutions, also to preserve the current legacy of cars. So we have incredible amount of classic cars, hypercars, supercars.
Absolutely.
What happens with all of these cars when someone comes here and just says, so you have to stop right now, you're not allowed to use in those cars just under special conditions, for example, when there are many plans about that. And so I think the solution goes into this direction.
So you're basically just like me, we are trying to save petrol engine cars. Now, thank you very much, Daivis. Exactly. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the interview. And I think we will do something together in the future.
With pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.